This conference will now be recorded.
See here, this training actually we are going to learn this one Azure Data Engineering part. Azure Data Engineering. So Azure Data Engineering. So actually we are going to learn for this role and the Azure Data Engineer role we are going to learn here. So the Azure Data Engineer, what are the things we are going to learn it now? The primary one actually we are going to learn it that Azure Data Factory. So we are going to learn the master level in that Azure Data Factory. Then we are going to learn that one Azure Data Factory. Sorry, Data Bricks. Azure Data Bricks. We are going to learn it. These two resources, the very very important one to work on the role of Azure Data Engineer actually. So Azure Data Factory, then Azure Data Bricks. So using these two tools, what we can do it now, actually, we can do that one, that data migration from one environment to another environment. Then we can do that transformation, whatever the transformations, if you want to need, if you want to apply in that any of the changes in that your source data, then you can do the transformation. So all this migration and transformations, we can do it using these two resources. The Azure, you know that Azure is a cloud platform. In the cloud platform, we are having that lot of resources. So these two, Azure Data Factory and Azure Data Bricks, is the major two resources for the migration and transformation purpose. So we have to learn these two tools very very important level. So in the transformation purpose and then migration purpose. Along with these two tools, we are going to learn about that one Azure Blob Storage. This is a storage purpose. The data actually we will store it in the different storages. The Azure Blob Storage is one of the storages. So here we are going to keep the data in the file formats. So the blob storages we will learn it, and then Azure Data Lake Storage. Azure Data Lake Storage. This is also storage actually. This is also storage. Azure simple format actually we will see that on ADLS. ADLS. Azure Data Lake Storage. So we are going to learn this storage also. Azure Blob Storage and Azure Data Lake Storage. So both are we are going to use it for the file storages purpose. So, but different types of files actually we are going to use it for the different storages. What type of files we have to store it in that, which type of storage environment, those details actually we will see it in that very detail in that our live session. And along with this one, we are going to learn that one Azure SQL database. Azure SQL database. Azure SQL database is nothing but actually not only that Microsoft SQL Server database actually. The SQL Server database in the Azure platform actually we are having. So that Azure SQL database also we are going to see that one, how we can access the data from that our SQL Server, the Azure SQL Server. So that one actually here it is called Azure SQL database. So this storage also we will use that one. So storage wise, these three storages we will use it. Then resources that transformation and the migration purpose resources actually we are going to use that one, that Azure Data Factory and Azure Data Bricks actually. So these are the major resources we are going to learn it during this training period. And one more thing we are going to learn it, that one Azure Logic app. Azure Logic app we are going to learn. Azure Logic app is, this is also one of the Azure resource. This is the one we are going to use it for sending that custom email actually. So we are going to use it for sending the custom email. So Azure Logic App we are going to so learn. So using this environment, this Azure Data Factory environment, or using this Data Bricks environment, what we can do it now. I told you right, these two things actually we are going to use it for that data migration and the data transformation purpose. We are going to use it. Migration is nothing but one place to another place you are going to change it. During the changing time, if you are going to do any changes in the source data, that's called transformation. That's called transformation. So these two things actually we are going to do it using the Azure Data Factory and Data Bricks actually. So if you are going to do that, data transformation from one place to another place. So that place is, so what are the place sources we are going to use that one? Yes, of course, we are going to use that one. Azure Blob Storage is one of the storage. Azure Data Lake Storage is one of the storage. Azure SQL DB is one of the storage. Apart from the storages, some external storages. See here, so Snowflake is one of the data warehouse, actually cloud-based data warehouse. So this data warehouse, we can use it any cloud platform. Either we can use it for that Azure platform or that Amazon or that Google Cloud. You can use this in Snowflake data warehouse. We are going to learn how we can connect with the Snowflake from the Azure to Snowflake, Snowflake to Azure, how we are going to transfer the data. So how we can move the data from this environment, we are going to learn. And AWS S3 bucket. How we are going to access the data from that AWS S3 to Azure, Azure to AWS S3. How we are going to connect the data, the Azure Synapse. Azure Synapse is nothing but it is an Azure data warehouse. It's an Azure data warehouse. Can you can you mute yourself? Someone and unmute. Can you mute yourself? So Azure Synapse is nothing but Azure Synapse is the data warehouse, the Azure platform data warehouse actually. And we are going to see how to connect with that Cosmos DB. Cosmos DB is one of the NoSQL database. That NoSQL database, how we are going to connect from the Azure platform. So how we can interact with that Cosmos DB, the Azure Cosmos DB. So how we can connect with the Cosmos DB. So REST API, that API concept. So here, some of the business actually they will transfer the data, they will keep the data or they will share the data using the REST API. So if our data, business data available in the REST API, now how we can get the data from that REST API to our Azure platform? How we can get the data from that Azure platform? So these things actually we are going to learn actually. So these type of different sources in that real-time environment we are using for the data storages purpose. So with this data storages, actually how we can interact from the Azure. So all these things actually we are going to learn it. The Databricks, when we are learning the Databricks, if you are going to work in the Databricks, actually you should know that one. So at least that basic Python program, you should know that one. So here actually we are going to learn the Python. So we are going to learn it Python. So what level we need it to understand that our Databricks program. So that much level, that so basic programs actually we have to learn it in the Python. So the Python actually we are going to learn it. After the Python learning, we are going to do that one, that Databricks and PySpark. We are going to use it. Databricks, sorry, the PySpark and PySpark. PySpark is nothing but PySpark is the Python plus Spark. Python plus Spark actually. So PySpark language, we are going to use it to work in that Databricks. So to understand this PySpark, we should have that basic knowledge of the Python, so that we are going to learn the Python, then we are going to learn the PySpark actually. So using these two, we can work in that Databricks actually. But all of these things actually, so you don't want to write any code. Everything is the graphical user interface, just drag and drop features only. You should understand the properties. You should understand the properties only. You have to understand it. So these things actually we are going to learn during this learning period. The overall thing actually we are going to learn these parts. We are going to learn it. So to complete this training, actually we have to spend it at least that around 55 to 60 hours we have to spend it. So overall to complete this one, if you are completing this all the content now, so you will get actually we are going to learn it use case wise only. We are going to learn it. So every small use cases, the real time use cases, one we will take it and we will implement the logics for that one. So if you are attending proper sessions, if you are preparing that hands-ons properly now, so you will get clear idea about that one knowledge actually. So like if you're working in the technology around 2 years, what knowledge you will get it, that much knowledge you will get it in this session actually. So this is the one we are going to learn it. So overall, so we'll come under the role of Azure Data Engineer. The Azure Data Engineer, actually what they are doing. Simple understanding, I'm telling you, the data engineer, what they are going to do that one. Actually, in general, They are data engineer. What they are going to do that one now? So they are going to migrate the data from one environment to another environment. They are going to do the transformation while migrating the data. Okay, the related things, a lot of things are there, but the common, the role of that one, they are going to move the data from one place to another place. While they are moving the data from one place to another place, they are going to do some changes based on the business requirement. If they are doing any changes in the data now, that changes is called the transformation. This is a thing only the Azure data engineer, not only Azure data, any data engineer going to do that one. So from one place to another place, they are going to do move the data, right? One place to another place. So in general, this one, in general, this data movement from one place to another place, one place to another place. Just a minute. So one place to another place actually. So data movement. So for the data movement, for example, just imagine here I'm having the data. Here I'm having the data. The data storage is, it may be any environment. It may be any environment. Okay. So from this environment, so I want to move the data into that my cloud. Into that my cloud environment, I want to move the data. This is my requirement. I'm having my data in that one of the storages. It may be that on-premises environment, or it may be that another cloud environment, or it may be that any one of the cloud, like that Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud or that Azure, any one of this one. I'm having data, the daily business data. Actually, I'm having in that my storage. The data I want to move it into that my cloud environment. I want to move it into the cloud environment. So usually from one place to another place, if you want to move the data, if you want to move the data, see the same, it might be the same environment. It might be the same environment. So one storage to another storage, if you want to move the data, on-premises environment, one place to another place, if you want to move the data, usually here, what we will use it now, we will use that one ETL tool. Usually, so we are using that one ETL tool we are using. The ETL tool is nothing but actually extract, transformation, and load. Extract, transformation, and load. The ETL tool we are using to move the data from one place to another place. Okay, the extract, transformation, load. Here, the extract is nothing but connecting with your source environment. Connecting with your source environment. Extract is called connection. So connecting the data sources, it might be different sources. So the data, you may have it in that SQL database or Oracle database or MySQL database. Even you can keep the data in that Excel. You can have the data in that note text file. You can have the data in that XML file format. Any of the storages you can have it. The data you are going to connect. So it's called extract. It's called extract. And the transformation. What is the transformation? You are going to do some changes in the transformation. What is the transformation? So how I'm going to do that? Simple understanding. I'm telling you, see here, I'm having that one Excel data. I'm having that one Excel data or one of the storage I'm having. This is having some data. This file having some data. See, just for the understanding, I'm taking only the two columns here. I'm taking only the two columns here. So first column, so going to have that your name. Second column, going to have that your address. See here, the the Excel, I'm having the data in the name column, I'm having name, but in the address column, I'm having the address like this one, right? So main street. So here, something I'm using this one, something I'm using. So Bangalore. This is a door number. This is a street name. This is a city name. I'm having this one. See, like that. So another person record I'm having here. See here. So here. So I'm having this one. Some street name, right? City name. Like this, I'm having the data. I'm having the data like this. See, this is the Bangalore record. This is a Chennai record. But here, what I'm having the data structure now. So I'm having some collection of strings, collection of so words actually I'm having. This data informations. So if I'm keeping like this, so it will not helpful for me for the analysis purpose. It will not helpful. How? So what type of analysis I'm going to do it? See here, I am going to do the analysis based on the city. How many people from the Bangalore? How many people from the Chennai? How many people from the Hyderabad? So like that, I'm going to split the data based on that count. Actually, I'm going to do the business analysis actually. But if I want to take the data on that city wise now, using this format, I cannot get it. This is not a correct format actually. So the data, it is not in the expected format. The data I got it from the end user. I got it from the end user through this one of the application, business application. But I don't have the data in the proper expected format. Actual data, it should be in that proper format. So like we should have that separate column for the city. We should have that separate column for the street name. We should have separately. But my data stored like this one. So here, what I'm going to do that one now. So this format data, I will convert into this format. I will convert into this format. So here, so I'm going to have that address, sorry, name. So then street name, then city name. So here, the simple one. So column, name. Here, address. Here, I'm going to use that one separate column for the city. Actual record. So how I'm having in that my source record, it will be converted. So like this. So here, I'm having this value, Siva, and here I'm having this value. So here, city information, it will be there. City information, right? So my data, here I'm having street information. So here I'm having this city information. Now I'm having that separate column for the city. Separate column for the city. Actual data, I got it in this order, in this format I got it. But this data, I have changed into the, so separate column for the city information. Why I'm splitting this value into this order now? It will be easy to analyze that my data. Suppose my so company asking that one, that city wise data, if they're asking now, I can easily so split the records by the city. So pin code wise, actually, if I'm going to select that one, zip code number, actually, so that I will keep the separate column for the zip code or pin code, actually. See, this type of format, why we are doing now, actually, this is not the cleaned format data. From the source environment, we are getting that data as it is structure, actually. But the data, it will not be in the cleaned format data. So we want to make the data in the cleaned format. For the purpose, actually, we are doing the changes. That changes is called a transformation. The data, everything you will check it. The data type you will check it. The data type you will check it. You are so split the columns. A lot of things actually we can do it here. A lot of the transformation changes we can do it in that your data. So this type of changes actually it is called a transformation. Now I'm having my data in the proper expected format. The proper expected format, I'm having the data. So now what I can do it now, I can load the data into that my another destination. So usually in the real-time scenario, we will have that different source environment. So from the source environment, we will store all the data into that our one destination. That destination is called data warehouse. The destination is called data warehouse. The source, it might be the different sources. You may have that SQL server, Oracle server, or that Excel notebook, or that XML file. Any source data, you may have it. That data, it will be connected using the ETL tool. Then the record transformation, it will be applied like this one. Then the data, it will be loaded into that your data warehouse environment. The data, it will be loaded into the data warehouse environment actually. So it will be loaded into the data warehouse. Right? See here, this is called the ETL process. Here, whatever you are doing, you are connecting. So it's called extract. You are doing changes like this one. This is called a transformation. This is called transformation. After the transformation, you will get the cleaned format data. That cleaned format data, you are going to load it into that your destination. The destination, it might be that another database or that your data warehouse. Data warehouse, no, don't make confuse. Actually, it is also storage. It is also like a database. So you are going to load that your cleaned format data into that your destination. So this is called ETL process. This is called ETL process. So all the business, not only the particular specific domain, all the domain. So this is the flow data. So movement is happening actually. So you are moving the data from one place to another place. That place, the source, it will be that your direct so receiving place, the direct data receiving from the end user. From that receiving, so actually you are moving the data into that your destination, that your business data warehouse, the data warehouse environment. Before moving the data, you are checking the data whether that all the so received data, the expected format or not. If it is not, now you are going to do that record changes. Then you are going to load the data into that your destination, like nothing but the data warehouse. The data warehouse. So here, for this purpose, we are using the ETL tool. The ETL tool, actually, in the current market, we are having different ETL tools. We are having Informatica Power Center is one of the ETL tool. SIS is one of the ETL tool. So data stage is one of the ETL tool. So like this, we are having that multiple ETL tools are available in the current market. So for the data migration and data transformation purpose, we can use this ETL tools. But all these ETL tools, we can use it only for the on-premises environment. On-premises environment. On-premises environment, a simple understanding, actually, who are not working in the currently in IT. So simple understanding, I'm telling you, just imagine you are having your data in your laptop. You're having data in your laptop. It's on-premises. It's on-premises. Your data, your system, your data center. That's the system is a data center. So you're having data in that your laptop. From that laptop, if you want to move the data into that another laptop, now you have to do something. You have to do the network enable. You have to do that one, or you have to move the data into the mail. From the mail to another mail, you have to transfer the data. Something you have to do that one for moving the data. But actual source where you are having now, you are having that your local system. That local system, that type of setup, every company will have that one. It's called that server. Every company will have that type of storages. That storage is called a server. That server, it will be available in their premises. In their premises, in the company premises, it will be available. So that company premises, if they're having the data now, it's called that on-premises data. Have the on-premises data. So one on-premises storage server to another on-premises storage server. If you want to migrate the data, then what you can use it now, you can use this one of this ETL tool, Informatica or SSIS or data stage. You can use this one of the ETL tool. But here, the current market, all the companies, maximum, all the companies. So what they are planning now? So they are planning to migrate the data from their on-premises storage environment to cloud environment. The current market, So all the companies, what they are planning now, so they are planning to migrate the data from their on-premises environment to cloud environment. Instead of using that on-premises storages, they are thinking to, or they are implementing, as of now, every company they are implementing. So they're implementing that Azure cloud storage, so cloud storage, in general, cloud storages they are using. So in the cloud environment, same type of storages, just imagine, same type of storages I'm having. The same type of storages I'm having. See, here I am getting the data like this. Like this, I'm getting the data from this storage environment to that my destination. So my data warehouse or that my cloud database. I want to move the data. Then from one place to another place, if you want to move the data, yes, we need that ETL tool. We need that ETL. But this ETL will not help. This ETL will not help actually. Why? Because these all are will be supported only for that on-premises local servers only to support. But here, two environments are involving. One is that on-premises environment, your local environment. Another one is that cloud environment. This is your on-premises environment. This is your on-premises environment. This is your cloud environment. This is your cloud environment. So this ETL tool don't have the permission, don't have the feature to connect with this type of cloud. To connect with this type of cloud actually. So here, so now this data factory is coming into the picture. The data factory coming into the picture here. So here, the Azure data factory, so going to replace this one. Azure data factory. Azure data factory, it is going to replace this one. Right? So the Azure data factory, we can use it as a ETL tool to migrate the data from that your on-premises to cloud. Even cloud to on-premises also we can do it. Cloud to cloud also we can do it. Cloud to cloud data transformation, cloud to on-premises, on-premises to cloud. So whatever that one, so the environment, so it will support. So Azure Cloud, if I'm going to use it as my storage is a source or destination. So to that environment, I want to so get the data from the on-premises or from the another cloud environment now. So how I can transfer the data using that Azure Data Factory, I can migrate the data from these environments. The Azure Data Factory. The Azure Data Factory, we can use it for the migrating data from this environment to this environment. So this type of transformation changes, right? So this type of transformation also we can do it using that data factory. But big data if you are dealing now, the Azure data factory, the performance wise it will be impacted actually. So it will give that less performance if, when you are working with that big data, the transformations if you are going to do that one. So at that time we can use that one Databricks. The data migration, we can do it using the Azure Data Factory. After migrating the data into the cloud environment, so the transformations, we can do it using the Databricks. So Databricks will come into the picture that time. But getting the data from source to destination, how we can get it? Using the Data Factory, we can get it. So most of the time, this tool having support not only the ETL, ETL, extract transformation load is the ETL. So you can do the record transformation, then you can load the data. Sometimes what we will do it now, we will load the data into that our destination directly, then we will do the transformation. So Azure Data Factory, so not only for the ETL, it is also for the ELT. Also for the ELT. Load the data, then do the transformation. I told you just now, right? That so loading the data from that source to that destination. After loading the data, you can do the transformation using the Azure Data Factory or else using the Databricks. You can do the transformation, right? So you can load and transfer or transfer load both. It's possible in this using this Azure Data Factory and Databricks, right? So this is the actual this processing here to here what you are going to do. So that is the one that Azure Data Engineer going to work. The Azure Data Engineer going to work in this task only. So this only we want to know how we can do it from this environment to that environment. Clear? So this is the concept of this, that DTL as well as that data engineering role. So far, is it understandable or any doubts on this one? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Any doubt on this one? Anybody having doubt?
Yeah, it's clear.
Fine. Now I'll show you that one, that cloud, that Azure cloud actually. So that portal, how it will be that one, how we can use that resources. Just I will show you that one. Okay. So here, the portal.azure.com. Sorry. This is a URL. The portal.azure.com is the Azure platform. So here only we are going to work. See, once you logged into this our Azure portal now, so it will be navigated to this page. This is a landing page. It will be navigated to this page. So here you will have that recent used resources. Recent used resources. The resources you can search it. The resources you can search it from here. What are the resource you want to use it? You can search it from here, right? So here, a simple one, I'm going to create that SQL database. SQL database, nothing but SQL Server. You are going to create it. On SQL Server database, actually you can create that your table. So I'm going to create the SQL Server database. Actually, this Azure Data Factory is a codeless technology. It's a codeless technology. You don't want to write any coding, just graphical user interface only. You're going to use it. So Databricks, yes, somewhat we have to write the code. So that code actually, it's not going to be a complex like Java.NET actually. So it's the easiest one. See, the Databricks actually we are going to write the statements like this one. So there's this type of statements only we are going to write it in the Databricks actually. This is also easiest one, understandable one actually. So for this purpose only, first we are going to learn the Python, then only we are going to use this Databricks actually. But here, this data factory, we don't want to use it anything actually. The data factory, we are going to use it for creating the pipeline. The data factory, this logics I told you, right? This logics. So to achieve this and that data transformation from one place to another place, usually what we are going to do that now, we are going to create the pipeline. We are going to create the pipeline. So pipeline we are going to create it. That is our task. As a developer, what we have to do now, we have to create the pipeline. So that pipeline, how we can create it. So that is the one we are going to see here. See here I am going to create actually. So just listen this one. You cannot understand what I'm doing here because you don't have any basic idea. Just for the demonstration purpose, just I'm showing you how we can create it without writing the code. So I'm going to create my database under the server. This is the one authentication. I'm going to use that SQL authentication. So here, real-time scenario actually. So this part, the creation of this databases or server, everything it will be taken by that admin team. You don't worry about that one. Here actually every time we will create it and then we will use it during the learning period. The database actually it's available here. So simple one. So development purpose I'm going to use it. So here create the database. And I'm going to create that one another storage. I'm going to create that one another storage. It's a blob storage. So I told you three types of storages. Frequently we will use it in this Azure platform. One is that Azure Blob Storage. Another one is that Azure Data Lake Storage. Another one is that SQL database. So now I'm going to use that Blob Storage. Blob Storage. See why I'm going to use it. So here, so this is storage. Two storages I'm creating. Then I'm going to create the data factory. Data factory is the ETL tool, the cloud ETL tool. So that data factory, I'm going to create it. Data factory, it's available. Suppose if it is any one of the resource, what you want to use it, that resource is not available here now, you can search it here. You can search it here. Data factories. So it will list out all the related resource names. Here I'm going to select this one. See here. The same resource group. Actually, resource group is nothing but just like a folder. All the resources I'm creating under that one folder. Fine. The data factory I'm creating. Data factory I'm creating. So create. And some of the configurations you have to do it once that database is created. Now, here the blob storage is created. Blob storage is, I told you, blob storage is we are going to use it for storing the files, file format data. Data lake also same, but different format files actually. So usually here this one we will use it. So like binary types of files, but here I'm going to use that one, some CSV format. Okay, see here, sync storage, sync storage. Fine. And here still it is creating. The data factory is ready. So launch the studio. This is our work environment, the Azure Data Factory work environment. This studio is the Azure Data Factory work environment. Yeah, so I need some connections. For the purpose, I'm going to create the link services. So link services for connecting with your storages from the data factory. Again, I'm telling you, so don't worry about this one, what the steps I'm doing here. Just listen it. This part actually you will get to know very clearly. So when you are attending that from the scratch level session. And I'm going to create another one for that my database. The database, I have to do some firewall setting. Once you have created in that Azure platform, you have to do that some firewall setting to access this database server from other resources. Yeah, saved it. Fine. Here, so I'm going to create some basic table. Some basic table. I'm going to do that one. So here, login. I'm going to create that one sample table. Create table customer. Customer ID it is going to be integer. Customer name it is going to be varchar data type. Execute it. I'm going to insert into my table values of second record. Two records I'm inserting. Select sort from customer. I'm having this. Actually, here what I want to do now, this table data, what I'm having here, this table data, I want to store it into this. I want to move it into this sync storage, the file format. I want to move. That is my requirement. That's it. So here, that link services, I have to create it for that database. So one here, server name, the database name, Authentication, I'm going to use that one, SQL authentication, username, then password. I can confirm the connection whether it is connecting or not. If everything is right information, so here actually if I'm giving that right information, then it will be connected properly. Right. I have created the link services. See, I didn't write any code, just I'm giving the properties only. I'm filling the properties only. Each component I'm creating, each component I'm giving that property information only. So delimited text file, I'm going to use it. So here, this one, that blob storage, sync, that link, I'm going to have it here. One link services for the blob storage and another link services for the, so here link services, we are going to use it for the connection purpose, and data set, we are going to use it for the pointing out your data file or table. It's like a pointer. Azure SQL data set. This is the one I'm going to use it as source. For this one already I have created the link services, and in that link services I'm having this table. Then click OK. So I want to create the pipeline. Here, simple thing, I'm going to copy the data only. So from where to where? From this source, right? To this sink. In the sink, I want to store my file in the format of CSV. That's it. Just click the debug. It's a debugging run actually. So to validate that our pipeline, we can run that using the debug mode. The debug mode, if it is running, so all the activities properly, then you can save it and then you can schedule your pipeline. So succeeded. It's completed. I'm going to check this one. This is my storage, and this storage, yes, I'm having the file, the name of my table name. The name of my table name. Table name actually, default cluster is the DBO, and my table name is the customer.csv. See, just now it's copied here. See the data. I should have the data. See here. So this is the data I'm having here. So here I'm having this information. So the data, what I have it in that my actual table, the data, now it's copied into that my, so another storage environment. Like this only we are going to do that our data migrations. Along with this one, actually we are going to do the data transformations. All these things actually we are going to use that one. See here, this storage environment I have created. Here I'm using the query. This is a SQL database environment, so here we have to use the query. But for copying the data from that my SQL to blob storage, I did not write any code. Just I have created the record components. These all are components. This is called data sets. This is called link services. So here I have created the pipeline. So just I'm creating the components only I'm creating. Using these components, we can migrate the data from one environment to another environment. Like this, we can move the data from the different storages. Your storages may be that one, your Amazon Marketplace, web services, Amazon RDS, the Oracle environment actually. So Amazon RDS for the SQL, Amazon SQL if you're having, then Amazon Redshift, Amazon S3, so S3 compatible mode. So like this, we are having different sources. We can have it. Any source, you can have that your data. From that source environment, you can get the data into this our Azure platform, or from this Azure to that environment. We can so migrate the data. Any environment. Maybe that you may have that use that the Hive storages, you may use it. So from the Hive environment or HDFS, so Hadoop file system, you may use it. So Hadoop file system, you can use that one. So anything, so from any storage environment, so you can access the data. So all this one, actually still it is growing actually. The access environment still it is growing, right? So here you should know how to use and why we are use these link services, why we are using this data set, and then how we can design that our pipeline based on that our requirement. Logically, how we have to define it. To define the logics, so actually as a data factory developer, you should know to use these activities. These all are called activities. This is called a copy activity. So here we are having append variable activity. So delete, execute pipeline, execute SSIS package. So get metadata, fail, lookup, store procedure, script. Actually, we are having so different activities. You should know the general part and then iteration and conditional part. You should know. Then move on in transform. These two you should understand. Apart from this one, if you are writing the logics in the Databricks, so like this, so this is called a notebook. So in the Databricks, I have written the logic in a notebook. That notebook I want to call it into that my data factory. So that time you have to use this your Databricks activity. This one, the Databricks, the notebook, you have to use it. Usually in the real-time scenario, we will call this one that our notebook by using this activity, because the logics we will written into this our notebook, that scheduling we will do it using the data factory. The data factory we will call this one using this notebook. Suppose if you are working the data science, the data scientist as a data scientist, and you are using that machine learning things, now the machine learning vectors, you can use it here using these activities. You can call it, suppose if you are working the machine learning part now. So Power Query, if you know that writing the Power Query, that Power Query also you can use it here. So multi-purpose, this data factory is not only for the graphical user interface. So multi-purpose for the multiple environment, actually here you can use this one. But rest of the things based on that your project, you are going to plan it to use it this one. But common, the Azure data engineer, you should know this general components, the general activities, all actually almost you should know this one, how to use this one, and this iteration and conditions, the move and transform, and this notebook alone you should know. All these things actually we are going to learn it. We are going to learn. So here everything we are going to learn it. So this is our course content actually. So this is our course content. So before this one, so we will learn that SQL. Actually, some people so don't have idea about that one database, right? So that first 5-7 hours, sometimes 10 hours, it will be that one, the SQL concept. So from the scratch to some middle level, the SQL concept we will learn it. Then only we will get into that one. That SQL actually we are going to learn using that our Azure SQL only. Azure SQL, if you are understanding now, so it will be helpful to work in that Azure SQL database. So that part actually we are going to learn it using that our Azure SQL. So then we are going to use that our Azure Data Factory concepts. Actually, we are going to use that one. So the Data Factory from the very scratch level to so advanced level, we are going to learn it. That everything is a use cases. Everything is a use cases. We are taking that use cases, live use cases only we are taking. So that use cases only we are going to see the examples here, right? So almost it will be covered around 55 to 60 hours actually we have to spend it actually. Fine. So the same type of SCD type 1, so you can try in that Databricks also. The Databricks also you can try this one. So here, so first we will learn that Python introduction parts actually. Python introduction part we will learn it. Then we will go with the Databricks concept. So the Databricks actually. So if you have that data along with the data factory, if you are having the Databricks knowledge now, so it will be value added so to crack the interview, because most of the companies they are looking at least that some basic knowledge in the data factory, so Databricks. But we are covering and the intermediate level we are covering in the Databricks part. Then finally, so we can try that one. So on small project, live project, then the CI/CD concept also we will learn it on in the finally. CI/CD actually this is nothing but it's a deployment, the deployment concept using the DevOps, how we can deploy that our pipeline from one environment development to testing to production. How we can deploy that one. So the deployment part we will. So then that entry questions we will discuss, right? So this is the one we are going to learn finally. Yeah, so that's all. So now, so people, if are having any doubts, you can ask their clarifications.
Yeah, hello. What are the features available in Azure Data Factory, like user friendly and compatible, like that? Yeah.
Yeah, that is the main one, user friendly. So without writing code, actually, we are going to define the logics actually.
Okay.
So the pipeline, all the activities, so everything it's a graphical user. All the activities and transformations, everything we are going to do it using that this one activities, graphical user interface activities only. And one more feature is available, that data flow is available. The data flow mainly we are using for the data transformation purpose we are using. That also available in the data factory.
Is there any hanging issue while working? No, right.
Sorry.
Is there any hanging issue while working? Something like that.
No, it's actually you are going to use that one. Actually, is that cloud server only you are going to use that one. So that type of issues actually we will not face it.
We are discussing about ADF and who are the competitors for this.
So mostly this one actually. So the data engineering perspective, so if you are working in that Amazon, so Amazon actually Glue is there. That is the one actually they will use it for this data engineering purpose, this the migration purpose. Azure platform, if you are working, that is no one. Actually, Azure Data Factory only you have to use it.
Okay.
What are the companies using ADF and outside job offers? How we have
Almost all the
to
companies actually they are using. Almost all the companies they are using that Azure Cloud, as Amazon Cloud, both the cloud actually they are using.
vary.
So now in the current market actually it's a hot cake market actually. So a lot of companies actually they are recruiting that Azure data engineering actually. If you look at into that Naukri or Monster job portals now, you can find out that very easily. Huge amount of recruitment is going on in these technologies all over the world, not only in the India, all over the world actually. Usually nowadays actually there's a recession going on, right? But not in this data engineering, Azure data engineering. The Azure data engineering still this recruitment is going on. It's a current market actually, so very good market. Upcoming, so 5 to 10 years actually, so it will be that very good for this Azure feature.
How long is the course, Shiva?
And the course duration it will be that 55 to 60 hours.
Okay. And are you sharing the recordings to us?
Yeah, recordings actually we will share it with private access.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, any other doubt?
So the class is going to be the same time.
Yeah, 8 o'clock. Yes.
Right. Okay. And is it daily?
Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday. Okay.
But any constraints in the timing? 8 o'clock. Actually, 8 a.m. IST time it will be there. Any constraints in the timing?
No, I think this works fine. Yeah, I think this is good.
What about others?
Yeah, I have a concern. They said 8 p.m. to 9.
8 p.m.
Yeah.
Evening is not possible, man. As of now, evening is not actually. I don't have time. So this is the
Okay.
planning for the morning time actually.
Can you move to 9 to 10?
No, 9 o'clock my login time, office login time. Actually, at least 9:30 I have to log in.
Okay.
So either we can plan for that 8 o'clock or 7 a.m. An hour earlier we can start.
Yeah,
Still
7
for me.
7 is fine, I think.
Yes, we can still in fresh mind.
Yeah. 7 would be fine.
Okay, what about others? 7 a.m. IST, will it be okay for you?
Yeah, it works for me.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm okay with 7 and 8. Anything is okay for me.
okay.
1 hour only, na daily.
Yeah, 1 to 1.5 hour. It depends upon the
Okay.
topic.
Yeah. Okay, 7 is fine, I think.
Yeah. What about
Yes,
Vinod,
sir. 7 is
Vignesh,
fine, sir.
Venkat?
Fine, sir.
Fine. Ganesh?
Yes, sir. 7 a.m. is fine.
Okay, fine. Vignesh? Okay, I will stop the recording.